Hello. So I will try to show how to connect RobotStudio to a soft PLC, Siemens soft PLC. And I haven't practiced this presentation nor my speech, so it can get a bit messy and probably I won't be entirely clear. My intention, my main focus here is to show the necessary steps and also to mention some details and steps which are hard to find or not documented at all. So let's start with what is necessary to do this. Yeah, so first of all you need these two libraries, RobotStudio libraries that enables numerical and booleans to be exchanged with the soft PLC. These two libraries can be acquired from RobotStudio apps. These two over here, RSConnectGIO for numerical values and RSConnectIO for the booleans, created by Denis Fraipoint. Excellent work, works very well, but there is no documentation on these libs. At least I haven't found any. So I will talk about what I have found out regarding them and and some tricks, so to speak. Now, as I mentioned, there is no documentation for them. One uses an IP address, puts an IP address in a property field, and then for use of connecting to the PLC. We will see this later. That's what I did. Didn't work, and of course then I checked all my firewall settings and traced it in another computer and and it didn't work. Then I contacted Denis, and he suggested that I may need NetToPLCSim. I highlight that may need. I think it's always needed, and also NetToPLCSim allows running, for example, RobotStudio on one computer and a soft PLC on another computer, which can be pretty handy because the Siemens PLCSim soft PLC runs pretty heavily, at least if you choose one of the standard models for analog inputs and digital outputs and timers and so forth. The generic one may run faster. I haven't tried. Another undocumented feature is that I found out that this NetToPLCSim in my Windows 10 at least needs to be run immediately after startup, reboot, before running any Siemens software. And then we have the TIA portal and the PLCSim. If you want to try this out, what I'm doing, you'll need them. And you can get them from this page. I used the basic version and the PLCSim from here. Now, in order to download and install, you have to register on the Siemens portal. Then you can download, and finally, yeah, you can, or maybe you can download these ones even without being registered. But however, these ones are marked with an E, are download restricted, and once you will click on them, you'll need to request access to them and fill in a form, and Siemens will process your application manually, and it will take about up to a week to get the access. And then you can install. First I installed TIA portal and then PLCSim, and if I'm not mistaken, you have 21 days for trial. I haven't tried, but I think that if you snapshot your computer before installing the software, and then later snapshot it, well, back it up before you install it, and then later on return to that backup, you can install it again and run it for 21 days. Of course, it's very inconvenient. RobotStudio, yep, of course you need RobotStudio. Okay, so let's start with running things. So here we have the documentation exists for NetToPLCSim. It needs to be run as an administrator. Otherwise it can start and stop the service. Stop and start the service. Okay, then for now we'll leave this one running here, and then we go to the TIA portal. Now I have ready-made projects, both for the TIA portal and one for RobotStudio that I'm going to use here. I will try to present them, but it would take too long to actually create them for the purpose of this video. I have chosen CPU 1211C. which has a lot of features. I suppose you can choose any one, but as far as I know, it is important that it's version 4.2 or higher, because otherwise it will not run as a soft PLC. Also, in order for the communication towards RobotStudio, this permit to access but get communication from remote partner needs to be enabled. So that's the two things that I learned the long way, hard way. Had to do some research. So here is my little program. So I'm getting something in and copying it out. That's a boolean. I'm getting a numerical value in and copying it out. So in from RS and then sending to RS. Okay, then I was gonna show all tags. Here is the definition of the variables that were in my program. So these are Boolean type. In the memory, I could also define it as real inputs and outputs. But I'm thinking that I have a robot controller connected through network to a PLC. And this I suppose stands for memory byte. So yep, I don't think so much more to say here, but I will return to these definitions a little bit later. Okay, now let's go over to the RobotStudio. Now I choose to start the controllers, any controller first before starting the soft PLCSim, because it runs quite heavily, as I mentioned, and starting up the IRC5 robot controller is much faster without the soft PLC running. Now here I have imported the two libraries that can be downloaded from RobotStudio App. I have created some inputs and outputs and configured them. So this is basically, from my point of view, mimics the PLC input and output. From my point of view, this could be actually called a digital output, but it's a matter of a point of view. Never mind. I have here made a small control to test all this out. So when I hit connect, the libraries or smart component library smart components, they will connect. When I hit click read, it will read the data from the PLC. And here I have to the PLC some numbers I can put and a Boolean signal. So here one needs to put the PLC address, which is not entirely correct. Because the address of the when you start the soft PLC, it will show an IP address. That's not the one. That's what I tried with, and that didn't seem to work. This is an address that you'll get through the NetToPLCSim. These two I will come back to soon. Actually, they are already defined in Siemens TIA portal when you make the project setup. And here is the amount of DIs, amount of DOs, and if you hover over here, you get the syntax. Now this seems to be the German syntax, so I had to do some research to find out what this is actually means. So then I found out the German syntax. A as Aufgang, so this would be in the software instead an Q here in the definition, if you want to do it by real inputs and outputs, so to speak. And then you have data block and the memory. So here you have, of course, then E as I think it's Eingang. Okay, so now we have both projects loaded. I've talked a bit about how to set them up, how they work, and now it's time to start the whole thing. This is next. The next is not a step that you need to do. I'm connected to a license server. Now I'm not anymore. Now, in order for NetToPLCSim to work, it needs a gateway. Basically, and in my case, or in most cases, an adapter to communicate through. So that would be your network adapter. In my case, I will use my wireless adapter. I do not have an Ethernet port in my computer. However, this here your adapter should appear. Mine does not. So here I was confused what to do, what IP to address to put, the PLC address. Actually, now I should actually have started the simulation, the PLC already. So let's start it. So there comes that's the soft PLC starting. It says no projects and unconfigured, but the configuring comes from here. So TIA Portal is configuring the soft PLC. You can also configure the soft PLC separately without without the TIA Portal, but that's just a hardware configuration, so to speak. You still need to load a program on it. Okay, so now we have PLC running, the same one. It runs. Here you have the IP address of the PLC, soft PLC. Now so that's not the IP address that you're supposed to put in the smart components in RobotStudio. At least not in my case, it didn't work, and I cannot see my adapter neither. So what I have to do is to go to change adapter options, find the IP address of my adapter, which is this one. Okay, now that one is there. Now I'm able to find the PLC. It wouldn't have shown up otherwise. Oops, I go a little bit back. This needs to be a 1 because I have a 1200 series PLC. Okay, there we go. Now it's there. Then I can start the server, and I can also, there is also a tool for monitoring. Now, so this is the IP that I used in RobotStudio, not the actual PLC address. Okay, so that one is ready. Let's minimize it. So, okay, now we're back to RobotStudio, and we can start playing with my test and control monitor. Now let's hope this works. Yes, connected. No. If you do something funny, these smart components, they give you some error messages here. Okay, so let's put one Boolean input to the PLC as true, and let's put one numerical byte as 2 and the other one as 3. And now I will go to Siemens side, and I want to have a look at the program. I will start the monitoring. Alright, so you can see here that the boolean became true, and the number of out byte 2 and input byte 2 is 3. However, remember that I'm only copying 1 byte, and that's this one. However, you don't see it over there, right? Because each time you want statuses and numbers from, you want the data exchange from the PLC to RobotStudio, you need to strobe to read, or read, this read. Okay, so now we got it, and as mentioned, I'm not copying that byte. Okay, so nothing changed, of course, because I'm not strobing it. Still remains, of course. I can strobe it, and then it goes away. I will now disconnect. So that was basically it. I just wanted to have a look on this one as well. So this basically tells how many bytes and how many of the numerical bytes, this one, and this is the address of the first one. So in my case, MB12. One. Alright, I think that is everything. Yeah, not much more to say than that, I think. Thank you very much, and bye.